Okay, this has been reducing down. I did add a little bit of chicken stock, probably not much more than a quarter of a cup because I already had the chicken stock there. But as I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but boy, it has reduced down. It looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to taste it. Oh, so the acid from the wine, I can definitely taste. And what that does is it gives it some brightness. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and add back the garlic. I'm going to wait on that just for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and we're getting really close to completion. I think I will add a little hot pepper. I didn't really feel like it needed salt. Remember, the salt will come down from the juices in the chicken, but be sure and add, if you don't have a salt sensitivity, be sure and add salt to get to the point where you're getting maximum flavor and you're not saying, oh, this is salty. It's a bumping up to that point. You don't want it to be too salty, but you definitely want to capture all the flavors. Okay. Nice. It's even thickening on its own, but you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of roux, because I'm kind of a thick sauce guy. I'm going to add the roux. I'm going to stir it in. I don't want any lumps. But you really don't have a problem with roux having lumps because it's already been incorporated when you made it, the fat and the flour. And you're not going to taste the flour, which sometimes can absolutely happen on sauces if you're not using roux. If you're not using roux and you want to use flour, just make sure it gets cooked in really, really well because, like I said, I do not want to be tasting that. Now, if I feel like it gets too thick on me, I'll just throw in a little bit of the chicken stock. Now what I'm going to do, and actually, I do think it got a little thick. I'm going to turn it down, thicken it up. But this is going to be a really nice, good intensity of flavor. No question. Oh my gosh. That is excellent. I'm going to go ahead and add in the thyme. I really like thyme. So there are some people that thyme is not their favorite herb, but for me it is. Now if you are using rosemary, be very careful about using too much rosemary. It can overpower things really well. Rosemary and thyme, kind of like the song, that's another combination that is very, very good. And actually the reason I'm not adding in those garlics yet is because I'm not going to cook this very long with the rosemary in there. And I'm also going to, see, we're going to end up with a decent amount of pan sauce. I'm also going to strain this all out. So you don't want that to be caught up in all that strainer mess, your garlic. Okay. Looks pretty good. Last, I'm going to put in, I wish I had some cold butter because that is far preferable, but I'm going to put in just a little butter. The cold butter is better because you get a better sheen out of it, but it's not too much. That just helps the overall kind of creaminess of the sauce. Gives it kind of a shine. So it helps with flavor, of course. Now the reason I don't cook these fresh herbs very long at the very end is because I don't want to cook the flavor out of it. So this is done. This is ready. It's thick. It's going in a strainer. Hopefully you can see this. It's going in a strainer. And I'm also going to use a spatula to get out the remaining amount because what you've got here is the best of the best. And then I'm going to be pushing the sauces through the strainer because remember it's thick enough. Now if you had flour in here, you'd probably break it up right now. And at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and add that because it'll just hang there because of the nice and thickness of the whole thing. And I'm all good with that. So now all I need to do is add back those roast garlic that were in the oven. And look at the chicken. I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to look at the chicken if I have any juices, which I do, but they're all nice and clear, which is what you really like. And now what do I have? I have a beautiful sauce. Try to get it so you can see it. A beautiful brown sauce for the top of that chicken. And I'll go ahead. I can cut my chicken first, which is kind of a nice idea, especially if you're splitting this. Put a little of this on the top, and I promise you, you'll have a great meal. While I was doing this, if I was making the full meal, I'd probably have some potatoes or maybe some few other things like that. But anyway, that's about it. Hopefully, you know that you really can't make a mistake, especially when you're straining out things. You are all good. Thanks so much. Hope this helps, girls and Steve. And we'll be talking about this more. We're going to be talking about pan sauces, because remember, pan sauces, you can make it with balsamic vinegar. You can make it with just a number of things. Instead of chicken stock, you could use fruit juices to reduce. Lots of different ideas.